Good afternoon and welcome into Carolina's Family at 4. I'm Amy Wood with Ben Hoover, and this has been a really rough day. Hopefully you're watching us from a dry home with no storm damage, but plenty of you have seen the opposite, just all kinds of problems.
Lots of damage, power outages, also flooding. The roads are impacted by this severe weather that rolled through earlier in the day. In fact, we're not done with it quite yet.
That's right. We're keeping an eye on the radar, of course, and we want to also show you the video that's coming in from you guys. Our 7-cam shot today is a video, and you can see two people. This is the video of the day, really, holding the door shut on the west side of Spartanburg. This is the Ashley Furniture Home Store on Warren H. Abernathy Highway there at Blackstock Road. Mark Bordeaux sending this in. You've seen a lot of damage in our afternoon coverage, and we're going to show you some of that in just a couple of minutes, but really powerful winds in that area doing all kinds of damage.
Yeah, it just shows the force of those winds. And this shot also out of Spartanburg. This is in the Converse Park neighborhood, sent to us by our very own Jack Roper. That is a big old tree, a giant tree that was down in the front yard of someone's home right there. In fact, the EMA says Powell Mill to West Main is, quote, ground zero after all of this severe weather that rolled through.
And take a look, a house in Greenville with all kinds of flooding problems. This is the Gower neighborhood. Kevin Hodges sharing the shot. Watch as they pan back to the house with all that water creeping around and through it. Just a mess, of course, out there. And the flooding danger is really what we are focused in on right now.
That's right. Let's go to Malachi Rogers. He's standing by live in our Spartanburg studios. Malachi, you were mentioning earlier today that the spectacular thing here is that a lot of these areas that we're showing that have flooding are areas that don't necessarily always flood all the time.
Yeah, that's amazing. You think about it, Ben and Amy, when you're talking about 6 inches of rain in, say, 6 hours, 7 hours, that's a lot of rain in a short amount of time. And again, that has to go somewhere. And again, low-lying areas, level areas, those are spots that water just collects and doesn't move out. The severe aspect of the rain is gone. That's fantastic. The severe thunderstorms, the possibility of tornadoes, all of that is pushed well to our south. But we are still dealing with some very heavy to moderate rain across the upstate and the mountains. And that on top of all of the rain that we've seen already is going to add to our flood concerns overnight. And I'm sorry to say into tomorrow as well. So we really have to watch out for that. Look at these rainfall totals since midnight. Spartanburg, nearly 5 inches of rain officially. GSP, Greenville, almost 4.5 inches of rainfall. 3.5 in Anderson. Asheville, just short of 3 inches, and 2.5 in Greenwood. And again, a lot of this rain came down in a short amount of time. You take a look at these areas that are in orange and red. Those are the areas that picked up between 3 and 6 inches of rainfall today. And as I said, and as I emphasized, a lot of this happened in a short amount of time. So our flood watch absolutely goes through tonight. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets extended into tomorrow because this water is not going anywhere. And we're going to add a few more showers through the evening in the upstate and the mountains. We are expecting to see some much improved weather, though, over the next couple of days, guys, and we'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Malachi. Well, we continue team coverage today in Spartanburg. That's where we've seen some of the worst damage reports from the storms, from the winds.
That's right. 7 News' Dan Bickford is live at the Crown Point Apartments, which is one of those spots in that area that they're referring to as ground zero by emergency officials. Dan, give us a look around.
And this is the reason why. Look at all these trees. If you're familiar with this apartment complex off of Powell Mill Road, it's surrounded by large pine trees. Look at all the trunks snapped off. Look at all the debris across the street. We'll go ahead and look up here. They're still cleaning up here. They've actually done a remarkable job. This was covered in trees just a few hours ago. You can actually get cars through here now, but very slowly. They're working on shipping all of the debris. But if we take a look at the building, we can see a couple things. One, you can see where the tree, or one tree, crashed into the roof, and that caused the top of the roof to kind of cave in one direction. At the same time, this particular building, there are some other spots where there are holes in the roof. This building back over here, multiple trees on it. They're going to be picking up damage from this for quite some time. First responders, cleanup crews have been very busy here and in other places, but again, this is one of the hardest hit areas. We've talked to a few people around here. Thankfully, no serious injuries. A lot of people are just thankful that they're okay, although they're going to be having to stay in some other homes tonight as their places either are missing pieces of a roof or are waterlogged from water sinking on through. Luckily, we got away with just a couple injuries, mostly minor. Unofficially right now, this is just what we hear from residents. Emergency management may have actual numbers on that. So now we just watch the rain, and Malachi will have more on that coming up in just a little bit. Reporting live from Spartanburg, Storm Team 7 meteorologist Stan Bickford, 7 News.
And because some of those apartments obviously damaged, some families not able to stay in their homes tonight or their apartments. That's why they have emergency shelters opened up, one at Covenant Baptist Church on 200 Evangel Road in Spartanburg.
That's right. So if you need a place to stay, the Red Cross is there for you, trying to help you out. Also staying in Spartanburg County with our team coverage, let's head right now to the Converse Heights neighborhood.
Yeah, we were showing some pictures from that area earlier. Let's now go to Melanie Palmer. She's joining us live from that area. Melanie, what can you show us?
Wow.
Yeah, another path of destruction here in Spartanburg. We're actually on West Main Street, so not too far from that neighborhood. But if you take a look behind me here, it honestly looks like a scene from a movie. This RV completely flattened. And if we pan over to these cars in this lot, dozens of them had their windows shattered out. Some cars flipped over and even went into building. And of course, there is some debris laying around as well from the strong system. But something that you might have never seen before is right over here, and it is these flipped over RVs. And there's not just one of them. There is a couple of them that are stacked up on top of each other. So just imagine the weight of these RVs and the system being able to just flip them right over like they weigh nothing. So right now, all these businesses on the street, there's quite a few of them that have been left behind with a lot of damage. Fortunately, though, so far the owners we've talked to have said there have been no injuries. Just at this point, you know, they still have a lot to look into. There is also a church right over here we've been talking to where a portion of the roof has just been completely ripped off, just like it was a Band-Aid. Once again, no one was in the church at the time, so no injuries there. But of course, everyone on the street has a lot of cleaning up to do, and it's going to take time, and it's not going to be easy. Of course, there's a lot of downed trees, of course, all this debris that I mentioned, but most notably is these RVs and how the system was able just to flip them right over. In Spartanburg, Melanie Palmer, 7 News.
Hey, Melanie, really quickly before we let you go, obviously right there, intense damage around you. As you go up and down West Main, are you seeing more? I mean, does it extend beyond there, or was it kind of concentrated right there?
Quite honestly, it seems concentrated to the area that we're at right now. It does also go beyond the line of buildings right over here, kind of onto some homes. It looks like mainly some tree damage in this area. We haven't gone up over there yet to survey all of the damage, but honestly, it seems very specific to this area. We did come in a little further down this road too. We did see some ripped down signs like from gas station, motels, some letters missing, that kind of thing. So it does look like there was some more damage down the road, but this appears to be the most hard hit at this time, at least. Amy?
All right, Melanie, you heard us say wow when you first showed us the damage. That is breathtaking right there. Thank you for getting us up to date on the west side of Spartanburg.
Yeah, we are seeing some of the damage just as our viewers are for the first time in some of these areas in Spartanburg County. And it's not just in Spartanburg County. This system was so wide-reaching, hitting most of the upstate.
That's right. Let's head to 7 News reporter Asia Wilson. She's in Anderson County right now with a look at what's been happening there. I know you've been keeping a really close eye on one of the dams there. Asia, what's happening?
That's right, Amy. Yes, I'm standing right here at the Saluda River. It's a dam off of Highway 8. Take a look. People here have been stopping by all day looking at the water overflowing here. Some people say they have never seen anything like this. Some say it hasn't been like this since the floods in the 90s. Now, earlier today, take a look at this video. I was at the EOC earlier today following up on multiple reports. Several of the calls were reports of flooded roads off of River Street. Many cars hydroplaned in those low-lying areas. Around 1 o'clock today, Williamston road crews also told us around 8 streets were blocked off due to flooding. The county also has seen massive flooding at area parks like Mineral Springs in downtown Williamston. But I'm also told that most of the reports are coming from North Anderson County, like Powdersville and Pelzer. Those are just some of the areas, including here at the Saluda River. Now, the Anderson County Emergency Management Services, they have put out a message out to people who live in the Saluda River area near the dam, telling people to evacuate this particular area. Right now, we're still working to find out how they are telling people to evacuate this area. Again, this is off of Highway 8. As you can see, the dam here is overflowing with water. We're still working to find out more information. Coming up in the next half hour, I'll have some spots where county leaders are telling people to go for for shelter. We're live in Anderson County tonight. Asia Wilson, 7 News.
All right, Asia, thanks so much for that live report. And also Eric Whitfield on Facebook sharing a picture of some of the roads that have actually completely washed out.
Wow.
The bridge on Shackleburg Road, Highway 81, Martin Road right there, right in the curve. That road is completely washed out by some of that water that we were seeing there.
Crazy situation. Well, we want to get to Greenville County, where we've seen several road closures because of the flooding. We also have a flooding emergency right now, Ayla. In fact, Ayla Ferron is on that part of the story, and we all had our phones go off warning us that there's an immediate flooding danger around here, Ayla.
Yeah, this is right outside our doors.
Yeah, Amy and Ben, we were all sitting there, as you mentioned, maybe less than an hour ago inside of 7 on Main, and all of our phones just went off saying there was a flood emergency. Ben and I headed out here and took a walk along the river. Ben, this might even be more drastic than when you and I were out here about 45 minutes ago. This is the Reedy River, and it is completely overflowed onto the other bank. You can see across the way. That's over by kind of the Larkin's restaurant side of things. It's moving very quickly, and it's much wider than usual. A lot of debris, and if you come over here to this side, just this small part of the falls here, this is before you even get to the real big falls that many people see here on the Reedy River. You can probably actually hear the loud roar that it's making, and we can actually hear that roar as well from inside our 7 on Main studios. And this is kind of a situation we've been in all day here in Greenville. The rain now coming down very, very hard. It's been on and off throughout the entire day, and the harder it comes down, the faster the river kind of roars down. And this kind of gives you an idea of if you're seeing any flooding around the Reedy River in areas that aren't quite as wide as this downtown section. This gives you an idea of why those areas may be overflowing as well. Earlier, we were a little bit upstream, kind of where the Swamp Rabbit Trail crosses a lot of areas. The river there overflowed as well, closing down many, many roads. I do just want to remind our viewers, we've been saying it all day, but we can't say it enough. If you do see those barricades, do not go around them. They're there for a reason, and please do not drive through any standing water that you do see on the roads, because it can be very dangerous. One more thing I do want to mention before I send it back to you guys. The city of Greenville has actually put up some signs here along the river telling people really how quickly this water can rise kind of without warning, and so to just be aware of it. So if you are headed out here to take a look, just be aware of that. Make sure you are staying safe. That's our #1 priority. We'll continue to keep an eye on this for you and bring you some more in the next half hour. For now, I'm reporting live in Greenville. Ayla Ferron, 7 News.
Yeah, Ayla, you can see in the background there, over there near Weish Pavilion, the water is starting to come out of its banks, out of the river. And for those of us familiar with the Reedy River coming through downtown, of course, when it rains, we've seen the river rage, but this is a little bit different with all of this rain. In fact, the falls over in Falls Park, you can't even see any of the rocks.
That's unusual. That's very unusual.
Right now. Yeah.
Crazy situation. Remember, of course, you can get that Storm Team 7 weather app. In fact, I have it right on my phone right now. It is fantastic to alert you on any dangers that are going on in your area. If you haven't already, download it. It's free. Just search WSPA News, WSPA Weather in your favorite app store.
And we have much more coming up. We'll continue our team coverage. We'll have more live reports from all across the area. And Malachi with that update on your forecast.
And let's take a quick look at what's happening on the roads. Take a look at 85 at 385 in Greenville County as the traffic moves along pretty well. Stay with us for Carolina's Family at 4. We're coming right back. Welcome back into Carolina's Family at 4 as we continue to bring you Storm Team 7 coverage of this weather event today, and weather emergency, in fact, continuing.
That's right. We do want to get back with Malachi and check on the latest updates. And the wind earlier today, and Malachi, you know, of course we have to wait on the National Weather Service to get out there, but looking at some of those live shots from earlier, I mean, it is hard to imagine it anything other than a tornado, but again, we'll have to wait and see, right?
Well, it's interesting because you kind of need a wider perspective to really get it. It's unfortunate the weather's so bad because one of our photographers, Jason Parker, has a drone, and that would be ideal because you can kind of get that bird's eye view. It's going to be about that big pattern. What's the pattern of debris? Is it pushed over all in one direction, or is there some type of circulation? That's what they'll be going out looking for. Obviously, it doesn't matter at this point to the people who were involved in it because that's a lot of destruction, a lot of trees down, homes and houses really destroyed and impacted by that. And that's one of those things that we always talk about. Anytime you have this line of strong storms coming through, there's going to be that potential, whether it's straight line winds or those isolated tornadoes. But anytime we're talking soaking grounds, heavy rain, and gusty winds, that combination really leads to trees being pushed down. So hopefully they get a chance to really minimize the amount of damage. And as of right now, it looks like most people have been able to stay safe, which is always the key when you're talking storms like this. We're still in the 60s right now, in the upstate 50s in western North Carolina. And yes, it's still raining. We take a live look over downtown Anderson where the showers continue to just roll in. The good news, as we mentioned at the top of the show, because we want to start with a little bit of good news, is that the severe weather has moved out of our area and is really starting to diminish. What we're seeing is just rain. It's a lot of it, but it's just rain moving through the Carolinas. It's easy to see where this cold front is. It stretches from the Gulf of Mexico all the way into the mid-Atlantic, and you basically just have a corridor of rain moving up from the Gulf of Mexico. That's why we've seen so much rain. It's kind of tropical moisture. We have that combination of warm temperatures and that tropical moisture moving in, and that's just been wringing out the rain across the area. That's why we've seen these rain totals 3, 4, 5, 6 inches in many spots. We are going to see some changes, though. We have rain right now and clouds, but we're going to see colder temperatures trying to nudge in overnight into the day tomorrow. And that's going to be a big change. Kind of show you where the wind arrows are. This is where a cold front is. It's just over the upstate right now. And as that continues to move through, it's going to continue to push away the rain in our area. We still have a flood watch. It goes through midnight tonight. Upstate, western North Carolina, all areas involved. And again, want to emphasize with that flood threat, stay away from high water and rising waters wherever they are. Do not, under any circumstances, drive through high water because we've seen several instances even today where the water has actually washed out bridges, washed out roadways, and you couldn't see it under that level of water. And also, we're watching for rivers and streams, low-lying areas. And in the mountains, we also have that concern for mudslides. So as we take a look at the evening, rain stays with us. Temperatures are consistent, mid-60s through the evening hours in the upstate, and even through 10 o'clock tonight, there's still going to be rain around. Heavy at times, still expected. Same story in the mountains where things start to dry out by 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. Much drier weather, guys, over the next few days as we assess this damage and take a look at what you can expect coming up in our 7-day forecast.
All right, Malachi, thank you, and stay with us. Carolina's Family at 4 is coming right back as we look at the raging Reedy River.
Welcome back. We will get you back out to some of our live shots in the aftermath of this weather, but we do have some guests today. And this first one, you can be a bounty hunter in your backyard.
Yeah, if you have Bradford pear trees, you can do this. There is some money in it for you to get rid of the trees. So to help us understand exactly what's going on here and how you can get some opportunity to plant something else in the place of those Bradford pear trees, we have our special guest from Clemson.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Dr. David Coyle is here. I bet you wish some of these storms took out some Bradford pears.
I would guarantee some of these are Bradford pears that are snapping all over the place in this weather. Bradford pears, you know, are super common, super popular in this part of the world. They're all over the southeast, the upstate. A couple of weeks, they're going to be very pretty. There's going to be white blossoms everywhere and flowery trees. But they are one of these trees that in your yard they're fine, but they tend to get outside of your yard. So they can make these fruits that are viable. They turn into another tree. Birds eat them. Birds do what birds are going to do. They fly away and spread those seeds out. And then you get these calorie pears, which is what we see all over the roadsides, the white trees all over the roadsides every spring.
And so this is a problem.
It's a big problem for
Why?
a lot of landowners. When a calorie pear gets into some acreage, it grows these great big huge thorns. Okay, now these are not present
wow. I never
on,
noticed that.
yeah, these are not present on the Bradford pears, because
Right.
the Bradford was selected to be thornless because it's a yard tree. But once those things go wild and get out into the landscape, they have these huge thorns. So once they get 1 or 2 years old, there's not much a landowner can do about this other than get big equipment in there to grind them down and get rid of them, because these are sharp enough to pop tires.
Wow, they're big time. Yeah, they can pop a tire. That's
They
no
sure
good.
can.
All right, so how does this program work? How do people get involved?
Yes, so this program, the Bradford Pear Bounty Program, we are asking people first to register so we know how many are coming, but we are just asking that you cut down your Bradford pear tree and take a picture with it. And then you take a selfie with your
Kinda
down
like you do
tree.
Like a
your-
selfie?
Yes,
with
take
a
a
deer.
selfie with your tree or a deer, whatever, right. Yes, the bounty program.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bring that to our event in Nettles Park in Clemson on the 29th of February, and we will give you one of 10 different kinds of native replacement trees. So we have a whole bunch of different things you can choose from. So we will trade you one tree for one picture.
Who is eligible to do this? Everybody in the upstate or just certain areas?
Yeah, so it's focused on the city of Clemson, but if it's for the Clemson and the surrounding area. So if you're willing to come to that event with your picture and you register, we will let you have a free tree.
That's great. What if you cut down like several trees?
There's a limit of 5, and
Okay.
you have to
okay.
be the landowner. So if you are a renter, you can't just go whack down stuff in
be
the
careful,
renter's yard.
yeah.
So you've got to own the property. But up to 5, if there's a business that maybe has a whole bunch of them that line a driveway, give us a call. We'll talk to you about it. We might be able to do something there.
That would not be very neighborly if you went and chopped down your...
Your
We are
neighbor's
not
tree or your-
advocating for any of that.
Or your
no.
landlord's tree
No,
either.
yes, no.
Yeah, so in terms of this program expanding, it sounds like it's been a big success, more than you expected?
Well, I mean, I'm an optimist, so I was hoping it would go this well,
Great.
but it seems to be going pretty well. We've had a lot of comments on social media, people asking us to bring it to other parts of the state, Columbia, Florence, Aiken, all these places. So we are hopeful that we can do that in the coming years, so we can spread this thing around.
Okay.
That's
well,
exciting.
It's one of many things that the Clemson Cooperative Extension does. We use you for a lot of our stories. You do good things for us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, we're happy to help.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You're watching Carolina's Family at 4. Stay with us. We're coming right back with more storm coverage. What a morning in downtown Spartanburg. Areas of the city seeing very strong gusts of wind. You can hear the sirens going off. This is some video from Hannah Rodriguez right in downtown. You can see just how quickly the wind picks up and moves in.
Yeah, and we are continuing our team coverage of the weather system that came through the upstate, and it left behind lots of standing water and damage. Good thing Malachi said just a short time ago is it's through the area now. It's over us.
That's good news, right? Encouraging, but the flooding danger still remains. Let's start with 7 News reporter Ayla Ferron. She's in Greenville County. Well, we've been having a flooding emergency around the Reedy River, Ayla, because that river is rising.
Yeah, that's right, Amy. And if you ask me, the rain is just coming down harder and harder the longer that we're out here, at least at this point. We've moved a little bit upstream from where we were before. I want to show you, this is the underpass of the Swamp Rabbit Trail that goes underneath this roadway here, and you can really see exactly how high that water has actually risen from the river. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, this fence that I'm standing next to right now comes up to about my armpit. To give you an idea, on a good day, I'm about 5'2", and that fence down there is about the same height. So it gives you an idea of really how high this water is coming up out of the river here. And this isn't the only location that we're seeing spill over from the Reedy River. We've talked to a few people just walking by who have said they really have never seen the river quite like this. If they have, it has been at least a decade or more. And just by looking at how fast and how much water is in the Reedy River at this kind of wider location of it here in downtown Greenville, it can give you an idea of why, if you're seeing areas where the river is, you know, just a little bit thinner perhaps, why those places are also overflowing. So again, the Reedy River overflowing here in downtown Greenville. Will of course keep an eye on this flood that's happening right here in the middle of downtown for you as we go through the rest of this evening. For now, I'm reporting live in Greenville, Ayla Ferron, 7 News.
Okay, Ayla is in the heart of downtown, a little bit farther downriver in Cleveland Park. Christine Scarpelli was there earlier today showing us a lot of the flooding in that entire parking lot where so many of us parked to go to the Greenville Zoo. The tennis courts were completely underwater, and it was just a mess down there.
Absolutely. We want to check in, of course, in Anderson County. We're watching a very tenuous situation with this dam that is overflowing right now. This is in Anderson County with our Asia Wilson. She's joining us live. Asia, are we able to learn anything more? You talked about they're evacuating below the dam. How many people are impacted by this? Do we know?
Well, Amy, just to clarify, the Anderson County Emergency Management Services, they're not telling people to it's not a mandatory for people to leave this particular area. They're only advising people to leave this area only if you live in the area kind of going downstream from this Saluda River Dam. So again, they're not telling people to mandatory leave this area. They're only advising, only because they're saying that the water in this area is quite higher than normal. Now, they did send out a message earlier today, but I think that's the message that people are kind of referring to about people leaving this area. Again, you don't have to leave this area only if you feel uncomfortable. They're telling people to kind of think about those alternate areas to go to. They also have several shelters in this particular area as well. I'm going to have Doug kind of go up here. As you can see, some people who've been coming to this area say that they've never seen the water this high before. Some people said that if they did see the water this high, it hasn't been like that since the flood in the 90s. Again, there are several shelters that people can go to if you do, again, feel uncomfortable. One is at the Salvation Army on Tolley Street in Anderson city limits. The other is also here in Williamston. Now, again, if you feel uncomfortable in this particular area off of Highway 8 near the Saluda River Dam, you can go to those areas. For now, we're live in Anderson County. Asia Wilson, 7 News.
Thank you, Asia.
Yeah, so an advisement, advising to evacuate, not
voluntary.
A mandatory evacuation. Important to point that out. Asia, thanks so much.
Now let's check in with our Scotty K. She's in Spartanburg County, where there's been so much damage. So we want to get over to Scotty K and see what's happening. Are you still at the apartment complex, Scotty?
Hey, that's right, Amy. We are still here at Crown Point Apartments on Powell Mill Road. We've been here all day as it is arguably the hardest hit area here in Spartanburg County. Just take a look behind me. Like I said, we've been here all day. It's still very active, and while the cleanup has been going on for hours now, you can obviously still see a lot of damage. We have trees down everywhere. It's almost as if more trees are down than up at this point. You can see right here we've got cars that have been crushed by these trees. We've got a red truck here. We've got a burgundy car here. The trees have gone through the windows. Of course, these folks, if they are here, they were probably stranded unless they got a ride. It's going to be hard to get to work tomorrow, so very unfortunate situation for a lot of people living here at these apartments. You can take a look at the apartments. Windows have been busted out. You can see where they've just recently put these tarps on the roof, probably within the last hour or so, covering up where the trees have fallen into the roof. We actually spoke with someone who was inside when this happened. Luckily, he was in a part of his unit where the tree was not, so when it came through, very good timing, or I guess he was in the right place, didn't get hurt, but we have learned that some folks were transported to the hospital with minor injuries. We know that the EMA director for Spartanburg County says this damage done here is likely more serious than the damage done in the tornadoes of 2017. So you can take a look and just see for yourself. I mean, some of these trees up here look like they have just snapped in half. It's all across this apartment complex. No one was left out. It kind of impacted every single building here. We've got people loading up their cars still. Maybe people just getting home from work, you know, couldn't come home earlier, so they're just getting what they can out of their apartments, loading it up, making arrangements for other places to stay tonight. We know that some folks are having to call their places of employment and let them know what has happened. A lot of folks won't be going to work tomorrow. Of course, we're talking about kids possibly missing school as well. This is some serious damage. We're going to stay out here, talk to some more neighbors. We'll keep you guys updated on what we learn as we continue to follow this developing story. For now, reporting in Spartanburg, Scotty K, 7 News.
All right, Scotty, thanks so much. Of course, I would imagine crews are out there letting folks know that there are shelters in the area for them to go tonight. It is worth mentioning and reminding folks that the shelter in Spartanburg County is at Covenant Baptist Church at 200 Evangel Road.
And 7 News reporter Melanie Palmer is not very far away from where Scotty K just reported. She's in Spartanburg County. So, Melanie, what are you seeing now? There's a lot of damage where you are, too.
Yeah, that is right. There is a lot of damage. This is just another path of destruction that was hit here in Spartanburg County. And crews from the Public Works Department here are already looking at the damage, trying to figure out what's next. If you take a look behind me, some of this damage is almost unbelievable. We're talking about flipped over RVs, trees that were snapped like twigs, cars in this car lot over here that had windows smashed through. Some of them even flipped over, and one was thrown into a building over there as well. So really something I have never seen before, and something that you would almost just see in a movie. It truly looks like a scene out of a movie over here. And one of these buildings that was especially hit on this road is the Living Waters Church. From out here alone, you can see that the gutter is down up here, but we're actually going to walk inside to show you a little bit more of the damage, just because it is so unbelievable to see what happened and how strong these winds were. So we're going to walk right in here. You can see some of the debris already that was left behind, but if we walk over, you can see this roof up here that was just peeled off, almost like a Band-Aid. And what's left of this church is, you know, they still have half a roof over here, but a large part of it collapsed. And of course, the pastor who we talked to said the church itself or the building doesn't matter as much as the people. So no matter what they do, they're still going to find a church somewhere and still be able to have their service somewhere as well. But of course, it's cleanup time for them, and city officials who say this cleanup is going to take a lot of days and a lot of long hours. But a lot of the people we talk to tell us they're just happy that they're okay and that they're safe. In Spartanburg, Melanie Palmer, 7 News.
Yeah, we are grateful for not having injuries there, Melanie.
And what a visual reminder there. You know, they say do not go, you're not safe in a manufactured building or home like that during winds like this. I mean, the roof was completely ripped off there. Melanie, thanks so much. We do want to go to a water rescue that's underway right now in Greenville County.
Our Ann Maxwell is at the scene. So, Ann, tell us what's going on and where you're located.
Right now I'm standing on Sulphur Springs Road where there is a water rescue underway. As you can see, they've already brought out about a dozen people from the Mosaic plant back there. Somebody with that company tells me they have about 40 people there today. People at the fire department are telling me they've heard between 20 and 30 people that need rescuing. As you can see, water is about waist deep behind me. They're using a small vehicle to get those people out. The fire department tells me everybody is expected to be okay. One girl on scene tells me her father has a mechanic shop back there as well, rescuing him and his dog. She says they can't use a raft because those dogs' claws would puncture it. If you're standing by, we'll bring you the latest as it becomes available. In Berea, Ann Maxwell, 7 News.
That's the Berea area of Greenville County with Ann Maxwell on the scene. And the reminder there, folks, is don't put yourself in those water dangers, because then the poor officials have to go out there and try to rescue you, putting more life in danger.
Yeah, we saw some similar situations, I know, in the Travelers Rest area as well earlier, Malachi.
Yeah, no surprise there. And unfortunately, you guys are absolutely right. Those areas that are, and we talked about this earlier, it's the areas that don't necessarily always flood, but if you are in one of those low-lying areas or one of those areas that just happens to collect water, this was one of those days where that became a flooded spot in a very short amount of time. And unfortunately, that's what we saw there with a lot of those rescues. So hopefully everyone gets out safely. We look at damage across the area. We saw some storm reports. A lot of these circles are from high rain, flood concerns, and flooded areas. But we also have a few that are red. Those are the ones that indicate areas where we saw the potential for tornadoes or what may have been tornadoes. Of course, we look at the one on the west side of Spartanburg with trees down. And one of the things that Ben asked earlier, and I thought it was a very good question, it's something we talk about a lot, but just thought it might be helpful for you guys to see what we're talking about. What kind of damage? They're going to go in and survey and see what kind of damage they have from the trees and the debris. Straight line winds where everything is kind of falling in the same direction, that's probably going to be downdrafts from a strong thunderstorm. But if they go there and they see a pattern that's more circular, as you can kind of see here the way these trees are laying compared to the straight line trees, they will determine that that's going to be a tornado impacted the area. And again, as you're close to the ground, as you see our reporters, you see Dan, you see Scotty K, they are seeing a lot of destruction close to the ground. So it's kind of hard to tell when you're right there on it, but they'll be able to assess that as they go through the day tomorrow. Here's what we have right now. Downtown Spartanburg, still raining, still wet, heavy downpours. Ayla was showing you the rain coming down in Greenville. We also saw that with Asia and Anderson, and we'll continue to see more. Here we have Elberton, Georgia, another wave down towards Landrum, down towards Lawrence, I should say, and into Spartanburg and Cherokee counties. Heavy rain still across the area. We are going to see another 4 or 5 hours of rain across the area on top of what has been many pockets of 5, 6, 7 inches of rain, that flooding rain that's caused those concerns and really has been a danger on the roads this afternoon. The flood watch goes through midnight tonight, but that may be extended into tomorrow, especially in some locations where that water is just pooling, so be very careful. We'll see the showers around through the evening. By 11 o'clock, most of it should wind down, and by tomorrow we're looking at drier weather in the upstate, but on the backside of this is much colder. We are expecting some snow in the mountains of North Carolina early tomorrow morning. So the story is rain coming to an end, cool weather tonight, cooler weather with 40s expected this evening. And look at tomorrow's temperatures. They'll be dropping during the day, 46 and 39. Those are temperatures we'll see closer to the morning. So plenty of sunshine on your Friday. We'll take a look at the 7-day forecast that's coming up when we come back in just a few minutes. 7 News will continue right after this.
And we are continuing our weather coverage now. All day our area has seen a whole lot of rainfall, flooding, and high winds, especially in Greenville and Spartanburg.
That's right. 7 News reporter Christine Scarpelli is in Cleveland Park with a look at the conditions there near the Greenville Zoo.
Dramatic flooding in Cleveland Park. Downtown Greenville, lots and lots of water coming into an area that's normally full of people, especially around lunchtime and into the afternoon. Many families coming here to walk and run, but in just hours, water rising through the parking area, up rushing underneath the stone bridge that's usually walked over by several people. You can see it's still rushing in some areas. Lots of debris coming down through this parking area, getting stuck in some cases on trees. The water rushing up to the picnic area, surpassing the picnic tables, rushing up, allowing barriers to float down through roads. This area completely closed off to traffic. We have seen lots of Greenville City police officers and Greenville City workers out assessing the flooding, making sure areas in and around the Greenville Zoo were safe. People coming out to take pictures this afternoon say they've seen flooding here. It is a low-lying area, but never as bad as this. You can see it happening all afternoon. We're going to keep you posted on the latest. As you can see, a lot of trash and debris flowing through that water. You never want to walk in any of that standing water. Officials telling us stay away from this area if you can. We know city workers are going to have a lot to clean up in the days after this severe flooding. From the city of Greenville and Cleveland Park, Christine Scarpelli will send it back to you.
Christine, thank you. And we want to head over to Oconee County, too.
Yes, that's where we find 7 News' Jennifer Martin now.
Here in Oconee County, we're hearing that they've gotten 4 to 6 inches of rain, causing road closures like the one behind me. This is Avondale Drive in Seneca, and you can see that this road is just completely flooded over. That's because this is in a low-lying area by a creek here, and behind us, just attached to this area that's flooded here, is a woman's house that's completely surrounded by water in her yard on the other side as well. She is doing okay. She said that her house hasn't been flooded so far. It's just the yard, and those houses are actually able to get out as well. But this is a perfect example of what happens when you're in a low-lying area by a creek that has overflowed, and so this has come straight over the road. And really what emergency services in Oconee County wants to stress here is, in a situation like this, do not try to cross the road. That's because you don't know what's underneath it. In other cases around Oconee County, they've seen in cases where there's been flooding over the road that some of the road has been washed out underneath. That's not the case necessarily here, but again, we don't know. So if you do come across a situation like this, it may be tempting to just drive through it, but again, turn around, don't drown is the message that we're hearing over and over again from the National Weather Service and Emergency Management Services from Oconee County. Also the fire chief, he said that there are several road closures that he's seeing in this area. Mountain Rest is seeing several on private roads, and he's also seeing some in Walhalla. We'll continue to keep you updated, but for now we're here on Avondale Drive in Seneca. Again, this road is closed, and we're not quite sure how long it'll take for this to be cleared up, but this woman here says that this is the 4th time it's happened, and usually it takes about 3 days. In Seneca, Jennifer Martin, 7 News.
All right, Jennifer Martin, thanks so much. We go to Malachi now. And Malachi, most of the weather has moved out of the area you mentioned, but a lot of these flooded areas, should we expect them to start going down from here, or could it even get worse?
No, it could get a little bit worse, guys, because the severe weather has gone. I mean, we're not talking thunderstorms or tornadoes, but we're still dealing with rain, and in a few pockets, it's heavy rain that's still coming down at this hour. We'll continue to see that. What you notice is this is very slow moving from the